Hey guys, how's everyone doing? This is Nick from ForexForNoobs.com with the daily analysis. Today is Tuesday, the 2nd of July 2019. Time is 9 a.m. here in the UK. You're looking at we're going to switch up to a Euro USD daily chart. But before we actually do the analysis, we're going to take a look at the calendar real quick and see what's coming up this week. Got a bit of an early start today. Couldn't start at our normal 10 a.m. time because I am recording the first episode of my upcoming podcast at 10 a.m. It's going to be the very first episode. I'm interviewing a pretty big name in the Forex industry. I won't spoil who that is. Maybe I spoiled it on the webinar I did on Sunday. Maybe I did. I can't remember. But anyway, in case I didn't, I'm not going to spoil it now. So yeah, we have to start a bit early today, unfortunately. I'll be recording the podcast at 10, which will be released, I'm hoping towards the end of this month is when that's going to come out. It's going to be a podcast focusing on trading lifestyle, trading psychology, not so much on the strategy side of things. There's so many podcasts out there that focus on trading strategies already, and they do it really well. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to do what everyone else is doing. I want to do something that focuses on what I believe is the most important side of trading, more the psychology behind trading, but also the lifestyle of a trader, because that all plays into the trading psychology. So that's going to be coming soon. First episode being recorded today. I'm going to release it mid to late July. So anyway, let's get into the actual analysis. This week we have a pretty busy week. Towards the end of the week, we have the non-farm payrolls. Now, non-farm payrolls they're pretty big. They can have a huge impact on the market, as you know, as most of you know anyway. It's the biggest report that affects the Forex market. Non-farm employment change, non-farm payrolls, it used to be called. I still call it that because I called it that for 10 years before they changed its name. And now it's just so deeply ingrained that I can't call it the non-farm employment change. But yeah, the non-farm payrolls / employment change is going to be out on Friday. It comes out every month, first Friday of the month. It's a big report. Generally speaking, on non-farm payroll weeks, you'll see reduced volatility throughout the week until that Friday. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some slow movement this week. Now, this doesn't happen every single time, but it happens most times. So yeah, we might see some reduced volatility throughout the week, and then on Friday, everything's going to take off after the non-farm payrolls. So let's keep an eye on that, and let's just be prepared for that. But coming up to that, we have tomorrow, 2:30 a.m. Well, today, in 1.5 hours, we have RBA Governor Lowe speaking. So if you're in any AUD positions, do be careful with that. Then at 2:30 a.m. we have building approvals from Australia, which I'm not too worried about. That shouldn't be a big impact. And then tomorrow, all this stuff would be after tomorrow's webinar, so we'll discuss it in tomorrow's webinar. Right, so switching over to the charts, there's not a whole lot of new stuff going on today. So I'm going to take a look at last week's trades, some of the trades I shared last week. We'll start with DXY actually. We'll start with SPX, I meant to say. So I shared this short last week. I entered this short myself. Obviously, it never really moved down to target. Ended up pulling back and heading towards a stop. After entering this trade, I said I moved my stop loss to break even, which was probably the smart move. Now, my break even stop loss didn't get hit because I closed this out before then. Reason I closed it out was, as I was saying in Thursday's analysis, I explained that I was probably going to be closing out all trades because of the G20 summit. And the G20 summit well, when it happened, price shot up. So the G20 summit was Friday, Saturday, and was it on Sunday? I can't remember. Either way, it was Friday and Saturday. So 28th, 29th. So I wanted to close out before that because I was expecting some pretty big gaps come Monday morning or Sunday evening at market open. Which we did get some pretty big gaps on a lot of pairs, not on SPX USD, but we did get some gaps on other pairs. So yeah, basically that was my game plan, closing out because I didn't want to stay in for the G20. I got out with very minor profit on this one. It wasn't anything too spectacular. So yeah, it wasn't really a great trade in the end. Unfortunate, but it happens. I've been having a pretty crappy streak on the higher time frames the last few weeks. This is one of my only winners, and it was barely a winner. But that happens, guys. I've had a few weeks of bad trading month, and I'm definitely not on fire for the last few months. That being, it's not like I haven't shared or spotted good trades. I've spotted some really good trades and shared some really good trades with you guys, like this Euro USD short here. I shared this Euro USD short. It was a really good trade, as you can see. It's just I didn't personally enter this one. I'm entering the ones that don't work out too well, whereas the ones I share, the ones I share that I don't enter myself are the ones that work out super well, whereas the ones I enter are the ones that don't work out too well. But hey, whatever. That's the way it works, guys. So Euro USD, anyone who was in that, obviously you closed this one out. It's pushed down, done really well. If you haven't closed it out, then it wouldn't be a bad idea to keep it open. It's broken through support. Looks like it's going to retest resistance and then possibly continue down. So nothing wrong with holding on if you're still in on that one. But I think most of you, if not all of you, have closed it out. So I'm going to remove it from the list of setups that we are tracking and pop it back down to its place there. DXY, this is another one I shared that I didn't take, but that ended up doing really well. So anyone who was long on DXY, this one's definitely hit target. So again, let's unmark it and bring it back down. SPX USD, this one's closed out, so over, done with. I don't think anyone's still in that. GBP JPY, now this one's a bit interesting. This one I shared a while ago. I shared it around about the 18th or 19th of June with a target that was just missed last week. Now it's popping back down. Is there anyone still in this one? Because it would have taken a lot of patience to hold through all of this. So we got a pretty big gap at market open yesterday, or Sunday evening rather. Spiked up, but it never really hit that target that you guys would have had. It's not a bad one to hold on to just because you're probably gaining some interest on this pair. You're probably positive swap on this pair. So it's not, generally speaking, if you're making interest, then holding onto positions for a little longer, it's not costing you anything. You're actually making money from holding onto it. I mean, depends on your broker too. Some brokers have negative swap on both sides if you're long or short, because they're kind of crappy brokers. No, that's not true. I'm judging those brokers harshly. Because it's not always the broker. Sometimes it's the broker's liquidity provider that charges those absurd swap rates. And the broker just has to pass that charge on to their customers. So you can't blame the brokers in all cases. And it's sometimes the liquidity providers. But anyway, point is, if you're earning swap on this and you're still in on it, I mean, you may as well hold on to it. it just keeps getting higher and higher towards that target. It's just not moving as much as you would like it to. But it could easily just pop back down to here and then continue up. It's just, yeah, it's not really... When I proposed this trade, I was expecting a quicker move up to that tiny little target and a continuation down in line with this bearish trend. But it hasn't really done that. Obviously, it's just moved sideways and then inched closer and closer to the target, but not quite hit the target. So if anyone's still in on this, and it's not costing you to be in that trade because you're making a positive swap, you may as well stay in and hold on. You've committed enough already. You've been in this trade long enough already. If you've closed out, that's fine. Also, I'm going to keep this marked as green on the chart because I'm not sure if everyone's closed out. So keep an eye on that. Another great trade I shared, blah, 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 that I didn't enter myself. So it's not really that great for me in the end, but hopefully some of you guys got some profit on this one. Would have been a bit of a tedious one to hold on to because shot up, and I think for most of you would have hit target with this initial move up. For those of you who had bigger targets, then it would have pushed up to here, pulled back, and then if you held on, it would have gapped up and shot up at the start of the week. So I guess we could just mark this one as done because most of you, if not all of you, are already out of this one. So let's drop this one to... Actually, we're going to drop this one just to here because there's a potential trade here. USD NOK, this is another trade I shared that I didn't enter. This one hit its target. So for those of you who are... still in this one... just keep holding on to it, I guess, if you want to have that bigger target. But I imagine most of you have closed out, so I'm just going to unmark that one and move it back down to where it should be. Righto. Let's get on with looking for some new setups. Right, AUDCHF is pushing up to resistance. I'll be looking for a short from this resistance area. We're looking at this potential on Thursday, I believe, but we were looking for a short from here on Thursday. Since then, it's gapped up, and it looks like it's pushing up to this resistance area. So let's look, basically what I'm looking for, price to push up to this resistance area, price to stall out on this resistance area, so to get some indecision here for a potential short there. But you know, that could be a long way off, so I'll keep it marked, but I'm not terribly excited over that. Last week, we were looking for a potential short from here at this resistance area. I was going to wait until Monday to enter that short, but it never really gave us the setup we were looking for to enter because of that gap up on Monday, and then it just shot back down really fast. I think someone did enter this one, though, didn't they? Wasn't this shared to the forum? I think some people entered this one. I'm going to unmark it though, because I'm not sure. If someone entered it, I'll mark it as green and we'll keep track of it. EURCAD is headed down to this support area. Once it hits this support area, I'll be looking for a long, but it's not there yet, so yeah, I'm not too concerned with that. EURJPY, we were looking for a short last week here, but I don't think anyone entered because of the G20 summit. I doubt anyone entered this one. If you did enter, you obviously would have been stopped out when it spiked up at the start of this week after it gapped up, which is you know, what I was worried about, which is why I didn't open positions on Friday. It looks like it's headed down now, but it's a bit late. I'm going to keep this one marked, though, because this one's somewhat interesting. See how we have this range forming? If this drops down to the bottom of the range, then that would suggest that we could enter in long here, because when price is trapped in a range like this, where it's bouncing from a strong support area, strong resistance area, you tend to get some pretty solid and good and predictable trade setups. So when price drops back down to the bottom of this range, I'll be looking for a long from here. So I'm going to keep this one marked and highlighted, and I'm going to look for a long, but it could be a while away. You know, this might not even trigger this week, because this is a daily chart. Keep that in mind. By the time it gets down here, stalls out and turns around, we could already be looking at next week for that to happen. I mean, it could also happen in the next day or two. It could just drop down really fast today. But I'm just saying, you know, it could be a while with this one, so don't get too excited. New Zealand CHF, not going to do anything with that one, guys. USDCAD, some people are long on this one already, so I should mark this as green. Actually, it's already triggered. Some people are long on this one already. Just a standard trade, indecision candle, price broke above. Yeah, just a pretty normal standard trade. Some of you are long, so if you're long, hold on to it. It's already started pulling back a little bit. I mean, it's at support though, so you should be fine. USDCHF, there's a potential short to take here on USDCHF. Price is stalling out on resistance right now. I wouldn't be surprised if it turns back from here after that big spike up. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a retrace back to where it was at the start of last week, at the end of last week rather. Price is showing indecision on this resistance area. It's not the strongest of resistance areas, but it is somewhat valid. There's definitely potential for a short here. I'm going to keep an eye on this one. Now, all the other pairs, I've already looked at them. I did some pre-analysis this morning, and I didn't really see anything I liked on here, with the exception really of DXY, but I'm not going to enter that. I'm sure, I don't even know if most of you have access to DXY as a tradable pair. I'm not crazy about this resistance area. It's a very weak resistance area. It did push price back really significantly back here, but this was the 15th of August 2018. Since then, it's not really acted as a very strong resistance area. I mean, if you want to trade here on DXY, if you want to take a short, if you even have access to this as a tradable pair, which I'm assuming a lot of you don't, then there is potential for a short here. Not really a pair, just an instrument. But yeah, there's nothing else really happening, guys. It's a bit of a slow start to the week. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a slow week entirely because of NFP or non-farm employment change, like I said. That has potential to slow things down. The other one I wanted to show you guys was, for those of you who are into riskier trades, New Zealand USD seems to be starting a bullish trend. It's pulled back, hit support, so there's potential for a continuation there. But I'm not gonna. I'll mark it, but I'm not gonna do anything there, guys. I'll mark it for those of you who want to take that trade, but it's a bit risky for my taste, and everything else is just nothing. So any questions, guys? Marzena, I would say the most immediate would probably be USDCHF or DXY if you want to enter DXY. That would be the most immediate. But yeah, at least on the higher time frames, right now there's nothing immediate. If you want to look at the lower time frames, there are a few of our lower time frame setups forming, but those ones we'll leave for the forum. But yeah, it's a bit of a slow start to the week. To be expected on NFP week, really. Unless there's any setups that you guys are seeing that I'm missing, feel free to mention them. Depends which commodities. I trade spot gold and silver, but I don't see anything too interesting there right now. I traded platinum a little bit. The website and the website's primarily a Forex website. So in the analysis, I do primarily share Forex stuff, but I'm completely happy with discussing commodities on the forum, and I'm open to trading commodities because some of my brokers do give me access to more commodity pairs. So if you want to discuss commodities, feel free to post your ideas to the forum. That's what the forum's there for. It's for the discussion of setups, not only Forex pairs, but other instruments too. The problem with doing that in the analysis is, if you go back a few years, I used to cover about 10 pairs in my analysis, and over time it's got more and more and more. And if I start throwing commodities in and CFDs and all kinds of stuff, I'm going to have to spend an hour each morning just doing analysis. And 50% of it is going to be things that most traders who are watching don't really care that much about. Because, for example, CFDs, Americans just cannot trade CFDs. So Americans will just be left out when we're talking about CFDs. So I want to keep a more narrow focus in this analysis, because over the years this list has just grown longer and longer and longer and longer, and now I'm throwing in things like SPX, USD, DXY, and I've started throwing in US oil, gold, silver, platinum, and it's just getting a bit out of hand with the pairs I have to cover every morning. And ultimately, it's just going to become a bigger and bigger chunk of my day dedicated to doing analysis. And as you guys probably know, because you've heard me say it a bunch of times, for me, trading is about freedom. Having the freedom to do what you want when you want, and having to dedicate a major portion of my morning every day to doing analysis is something I don't mind doing, but I would certainly start to mind if I have to add like 30 or 40 different commodities and stuff to the list. So I guess in the end, what it comes down to is I just want to keep it simple, both for me and for the people watching. But yeah, that's why we have the forum. So I encourage you to share those on the forum, and I'll certainly check them out and respond and give you my ideas. But anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap this one up. So thank you guys for attending, and I'll catch you guys for tomorrow's analysis, which should be at the normal time of 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. We'll just see how that one goes. I'll notify you guys this evening of the actual analysis time. Tomorrow's analysis is going to be members only, so we're going to be looking at some smaller time frames too. We're going to be looking at the members only setups. So yeah, thank you guys for attending, and I'll see you for tomorrow's analysis.